You're about to have a conversation with yourself. Not out loud, not in front of anyone else, but inside your head. Right now, as you read these words, there's a voice. It's narrating, it's questioning, it's deciding whether to keep reading or scroll away. That voice feels like you. It feels like a single, unified self. But what if it's not? What if that voice is actually one half of your brain talking to, well, no one? What if the other half can't even hear it? You've probably never stopped to ask. When you talk to yourself, who exactly is listening? The real answer is far stranger than you think. In the 1960s, a young graduate student named Michael Gazzaniga walked into a laboratory at the California Institute of Technology. He was about to witness something that would shatter everything scientists thought they knew about the human mind. The patient was a 48-year-old man known only by his initials, WJ. He had undergone a radical surgery to treat severe epilepsy. Neurosurgeons had severed his corpus callosum, the thick bundle of 200 million nerve fibers connecting the left and right hemispheres of his brain. The surgery worked. His seizures stopped. But something else happened. Something nobody expected. WJ sat down at a table with a set of painted blocks. His task was simple. Arrange them to match a pattern on a flashcard. His right hand reached for the blocks. Fumbled. Couldn't figure it out. Then his left hand took over. It arranged the blocks perfectly, effortlessly, as if it knew exactly what to do. And here's the thing. WJ had no idea his left hand was doing any of this. His right hand, controlled by his left hemisphere, was completely clueless. His left hand, controlled by his right hemisphere, was solving the puzzle like a genius. One brain, two hands, two completely different skill sets, and the man himself couldn't explain why. That was a powerful moment, Gazzaniga later recalled, to see that there were two different mental control systems competing to solve this problem. Two different mental control systems in one skull. So what did Gazzaniga and his mentor Roger Sperry do next? They designed experiments to talk to each hemisphere separately. They flashed images to WJ's right visual field, which goes to the left hemisphere, the one that controls speech. He could name everything he saw. No problem. Then they flashed images to his left visual field, which goes to the right hemisphere. WJ said he saw nothing. Blank. Empty. But when they asked him to point to what he'd seen using his left hand, the hand controlled by that supposedly blind right hemisphere, he pointed to the correct image every single time. His right hemisphere saw everything. It knew exactly what was there. It just couldn't tell you about it. Because the right hemisphere in most people doesn't have language. Think about that for a moment. One half of your brain can see, recognize, and understand something. The other half has no idea it ever happened. And you, the you that talks and thinks in words, are the one that doesn't know. You are walking around with a silent partner inside your own head. And that partner knows things you don't. This wasn't just WJ. Over the following years, Gazzaniga, Sperry, and neurologist Joseph LeDoux studied a series of split-brain patients, people who had undergone the same corpus callosum severing surgery. Each one told the same story. Two minds. One body. One of them couldn't speak. Sperry would go on to win the 1981 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for this discovery. But the real bombshell was still to come. You might be thinking, but surely this was just one unusual group of patients. These were people with severe epilepsy who had major brain surgery. That doesn't tell me anything about my own brain. Fair question. But here's the thing, the split-brain patients didn't just reveal what happens when the two hemispheres are disconnected. They revealed what the two hemispheres are supposed to be doing when they are connected. And that's where it gets truly unsettling. Gazzaniga noticed something strange. Despite having two independently functioning hemispheres, his patients never complained about feeling split. They felt like one person, one unified self. Why? The answer came from another experiment. Gazzaniga flashed the word smile to a patient's right hemisphere. Then he flashed the word face to the left hemisphere. He asked the patient to draw what he'd seen. The patient's left hand, controlled by the right hemisphere that saw smile, drew a smiling face. The right hand, controlled by the left hemisphere that saw face, also drew a smiling face. But here's the kicker. When Gazzaniga asked, "Why did you draw a smiling face?" the patient didn't say, "Because my right hemisphere saw the word smile and my left hemisphere saw the word face." He said, "What do you want? A sad face? Who wants a sad face around?" His left hemisphere had no idea why it had drawn that face. It had only seen the word face, not smile. The smile command had gone to the other hemisphere, the silent one. So the left hemisphere, the one that talks, the one that narrates your life, simply made up a reason. It invented an explanation, on the spot, without the person even realizing it was happening. Gazzaniga called this the interpreter, a module in the left hemisphere that constantly constructs stories to explain your actions, even when it has no idea what actually caused them. Your left brain doesn't just process language, processes meaning. It weaves everything you do into a coherent narrative, even when that narrative is completely wrong, even when it's lying to you. And here's the really uncomfortable part. This isn't just happening in split-brain patients. This is happening in you, right now. Every time you explain why you made a decision, your left hemisphere's interpreter is working overtime. It's constructing a story. It's making you feel like a unified, rational person who knows exactly why you do what you do. But the research suggests something else. Your brain acts first. Then your interpreter explains why you acted. You don't decide and then act. You act. And then you invent a reason. So what does this mean for your everyday life? Think about the last time you had a gut feeling about someone. A sense that something was off, even though you couldn't put it into words. That might have been your right hemisphere talking. The silent partner. The one that processes faces, emotions, and spatial information without ever using language. Your left hemisphere couldn't articulate it. So it just didn't. Or think about the last time you rationalized a bad decision. You knew somewhere deep down that you were making a mistake, but you convinced yourself otherwise. That was your interpreter, making up a story, keeping the narrative tidy. Your brain is not one mind. It's a collection of modules, each with its own job, its own perspective, its own way of processing the world. The left hemisphere's interpreter stitches it all together into a single story. A story that feels like you. But you might be more of a narrator than a decision maker. And the narrator doesn't always have all the facts. In 1977, researchers Joseph LeDoux and Michael Gazzaniga published a study on a split-brain patient known as PS. They concluded that each hemisphere in PS possessed mental properties deserving of conscious status. 2 conscious minds, 1 body. Other researchers have challenged this view. Some argue that split-brain patients still have a unified consciousness, just with split perception. The debate continues today. But what everyone agrees on is this: your brain is far less unified than it feels. The 2 hemispheres process information differently. They have different strengths. They sometimes disagree. And one of them is constantly telling you stories about why you do what you do. Stories that may or may not be true. So the next time you talk to yourself, ask, which self is talking? And which self is listening? Your left hemisphere might have an answer ready. But your right hemisphere might know something different. And you'll never know which one is right. Because the voice that's asking the question, that's just the interpreter too. Making up another story. Trying to keep everything together. Trying to convince you that you are one person with one mind, in full control of your own life. But the science says something else. Something stranger. Something that changes everything you thought you knew about who you really are. You are not one mind. You never were. You just have a very, very good storyteller living in your left hemisphere. And it's been telling you stories your entire life. Stories you believed. Stories you're still believing. Right now, as you read these words, and wonder,